South. Let's talk now about that and what is happening across the country with Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth. Senator Duckworth joins us here in Washington. You had been such a spokesperson for police reform. I want to talk to you also about your military background. But let's talk now first about the police issues and whether there can be national standards for police behavior so that this kind of incident cannot ever happen again.
Well, Andrea, I think there should be national standards, and we can do it in a number of ways. One of the ways is also with an incentive, which is the bill that I wrote, the National Police Training and Independent Investigation Act. What it does is actually provide a grant program so that local law enforcement can use that money to train their police forces in things such as community outreach, in things such as racism, inherent bias within law enforcement, and then also what encourages them to use independent investigators in any police-involved killings. You can't trust a local prosecutor to investigate the very same police force that they rely on to help them prosecute other crimes. There's just an inherent bias there. And so there are many things that we can do, but it's long overdue.
And of course, today we've seen within the last 24 hours the pictures from the Lincoln Memorial, the National Guard troops on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Also today, Secretary Esper is saying that he didn't really know what that photo opportunity was going to be and defending his own participation with the president and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs in what many argue is a politicization of the military, which is supposed to be civilian controlled. And of course, stepping back from the president's threat to use the 1807 Insurrection Act to forcibly impose military control in areas where the states and indeed the mayor of the District of Columbia does not want it.
Well, Andrea, just minutes before he followed behind the president, along with General Milley, like two lapdogs, carrying out this president's really twisted idea of what the military is supposed to do, Secretary Esper was on the phone to our governors, to our nation's governors, calling the space around the U.S. Capitol the battle space. He was talking about the need to dominate the battle space, and he was talking about American soil. So he knew exactly what he was doing when he decided to support Donald Trump in this. Instead of standing up to this president and saying, "Sir, no, you are politicizing the military. This is not the appropriate use of our military." Instead, he went right along with it. And that is very scary to me, Andrea. Our military is supposed to be above politics. They are honorable men and women in uniform who defend this nation's Constitution, and they should not be used in the way that this president is using them. And certainly, they should not be allowed to be used in this way by the two people who have, in their Senate confirmation process, swore that they would never carry out a president's illegal and unlawful orders. Both Secretary Esper and General Milley said that here in the Senate, and apparently they're willing to say yes to this president to the extent of calling American soil the battle space.
You were a helicopter pilot in Iraq. Of course, you were wounded because of your flying combat missions in Iraq. What about the use of a Black Hawk to fly solo in what is normally a counterinsurgency combat option, not something that you would do over an American city?
Well, there's two things there. Yeah, there's two things when I look at that. One, there's what's called an FRZ, right, which is a flight restricted zone that sits right above the White House and above wherever the president is. And they are in that flight restricted zone, which they're allowed to be because they're, the president's there and they have the orders to be there. But they have to be given permission to be in that area. And to fly that low, the FAA has a regulation that you may not fly under 400 feet above ground level, above an open gathering of people. And they were well below that 400 feet AGL altitude. And so I want to know who gave them permission to do that. Did they ask permission? Were they given permission to do that? Was it Secretary Esper? Where's the FAA? Where was the air traffic controller who agreed to allow them to do that? And then, most important of all, this is inappropriate. The downwash, the rotor wash from a Black Hawk can create a lot of damage and create a lot of harm. I cannot believe that a military officer gave the orders to those pilots, and those pilots executed that order and flew that low above Americans on American soil, potentially harming those peaceful protesters who were doing nothing but peacefully protesting and exercising their First Amendment right. It's shameful. And I lay this at the feet of President Trump, Secretary Esper, and General Milley.
Senator Tammy Duckworth, thank you